Hello for all the people wearing pants out there, or not. It's optional.
Pants optional.
To see this much of us. Welcome to Super Geeks for the 1st of May, I think it is.
June.
Damn. Okay.
Hey, showers.
Welcome to the Pants Optional Podcast.
Pants Optional Podcast because, you know, unless someone goes out of their way, like Sean, we can't see the lower half wherever the camera is. But you never know what's going to happen with people in the background at Sean's place. But anyways, it's Super Geeks June 1st. Yeah, I think for all of us, right? For me.
Yeah.
None of us live in Australia.
Oh, not for everybody. For West Coast.
We're rounding up.
Yeah, you're rounding up. So Close enough. And with me today, as usual, is myself, George. How you doing, George? Doing all right. Got my leather on. And we got Raul. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
And we got Carlos. You ready for action?
I am ready for action.
And then we got Quick Draw Halloran. Sean, how you doing?
Fantastic.
That wasn't bad. And then we got Madam Sunsail. How you doing?
Hello. And the one perpetually without a camera.
All happened off
Did they hear it, Daddy?
Of course we heard the no.
And then we got Hayden.
And
No, I'm just kidding.
special guest star Hayden O'Halloran.
Hayden O'Halloran, the real star of this podcast.
O'Halloran posse.
My progeny who is picking up the lifestyle of pantless.
Somewhere back there we got some ducks. We're good.
I think he's.
There's a lot going on at the O'Halloran.
There's a lot in Las Vegas.
He's in training to be the next.
You don't need to go to the strip.
Future podcaster in training.
You want madness? Don't go. And you come to Vegas. Come to my house. Don't go to the strip.
See, here's the problem, though.
People will take you up on that. You got to be watching out. We don't know what crazies are.
Good point.
Yeah, but here's the problem,
It's happened, actually.
O'Halloran,
Yes, it has.
O'Halloran is in Vegas, but he's sharing what happens in Vegas.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, what happens in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas.
Yeah, now it's going global.
Yeah.
The best comment I heard was, "What happens in Vegas 5 years later is called Timmy."
It's
called what?
Timmy?
Timmy.
From South Park?
In general. I get that. I get it.
Jimmy Neutron!
Okay, thank you. We didn't need that.
All right.
We know what he likes to see.
Well, we got a few topics to talk about, like usual. Usually, it's very rarely we don't have nothing to talk about. But there's a few things today. Now, I'm going to talk about Deadwood a little bit first because I have been trying to binge it. Sean's recommendation, well, not just Sean. I've heard it from a lot of people after I got done with Game of Thrones. It was like, what am I going to watch next? Well, I watched Rome, but they only lasted 2 seasons, so that wasn't that hard. And then there was Deadwood. And I kept hearing about Deadwood because the movie was getting ready to come out, and everybody's like, oh, you got to watch Deadwood. So I've been watching Deadwood. I'm only in the middle of the 2nd season out of 3. Friggin' loving the heck out of it. And the movie came out tonight, and I'm only halfway through the movie, not even halfway through the movie. I want to talk about the series briefly. I know maybe Son hasn't probably seen it. Have you ever watched Deadwood, Son? Probably not. Right?
I have not. No.
It's okay. It's okay. I hadn't until recently. So I tried binging it as fast as I could to hopefully see the movie. I'm not going to spoil the movie, talk about the movie. We're going to talk about that next week because most of us haven't seen it. I got to tell you, I'm extremely disappointed with this movie in 18 minutes and 20-something minutes at this point. I actually stopped watching it. I was getting like, okay, I got to watch this when I'm in a better mood.
Let's be fair here, George. You have not watched season 3 of...
It's not nothing to do with that. I'll explain why. I know it's coming because a lot of it turns out that historical is being recreated.
The thing about the show is that it's very historically accurate.
It is. I was surprised Seth Bullock was a real person.
Ish. I mean, it has historical people in it.
A lot of stories that happened. I did read documentary on that. A lot of it was, they embellished it, of course. But I was surprised how much actually was based on true facts. Yes, of course they embellished on it.
It is in no way a factual.
Not factual.
Series.
They dramatize a lot of accounts of things that happen with, like for example, Swearingen was a real person, and what he did for the town, and a lot of those.
Yeah, there were plenty of. I mean, the town is a real place,
and a lot of people.
But you're kidding yourself if you're thinking that this is in any way.
No, it's not meant to be. I know.
But
Ian McShane's character was real.
It's not a biopic.
It's Calamity Jane. We all know is real. The reason I wasn't impressed I'm only going to talk about the movie.
It's like taking American Tail 5 Goes West as some kind of accurate to life story.
I'm only going to discuss what I've seen in the movie real quick to get back to the good stuff, which is the show, is because when I started watching it, even though I'm only in the middle of the second season, I'm going from like watching this incredible show like unfolding, and I start to watch the movie, and it reminded me of the Brady Bunch reunion episodes of those It was like the most hokey reintroduction of the characters. Like it was like they found every flashback excuse to show how he lost his finger, how he did this, how he did that, and it was like, I remember you. It's been 10 years. They had to keep shoving that in your face for the first 24 minutes. Why, hi, it's good to see you again. It's been 10 years. Hi, how are you? It's been 10 years. Flashback. It totally plays out like the Brady Bunch specials, like when the Brady girls got married and all that crap. It's like that. I mean, I keep hearing it gets better and better because Rotten Tomatoes is giving it like 97%. Everybody's raving. I'm thinking that happens after.
My feed has nothing but positive reactions.
I've only seen.
I'm hoping to God
also.
it gets better, but these so far,
I think if these are your complaints, George, these are.
I'm just surprised at the way that they're the
George. Here's the problem. You're 18 minutes into the film, and you're not 3 seasons into the show. That's I think the biggest problem.
Yeah,
it's like he's at this point he's literally reading the New Testament, and he's at the first couple of chapters of Matthew. It's nothing but the genealogy of Jesus Christ, and it's a bore.
It's not just the fact that I understand that I have to see the whole. I know a lot of what's coming, but it's just the fact that it's how they film this beginning. How they're reintroducing us. I know it's been 10 years and they're trying to make sure everybody remembers. But if you're a Deadwood fan, I would think you would trust that your audience knows who these people are. You don't. I haven't.
Shove
it in your face like, "Hi, it's me."
I haven't seen the series in 10 years.
Right, and here's the other side of this too is that I don't think this isn't like Game of Thrones where you've had series going on for 8 years.
I agree.
And people binged it before jumping into the final season. This is a show that's been off the air for 10 years. And to be quite honest, HBO did not do a whole lot of promotion on this film for letting people know it was coming out. That's I reminded people last week it's coming out this Friday.
Yeah, you did.
Carlos was as surprised as anybody.
Yeah.
So, and I think they're treating this as a feature film, as in it would have been in the theater. Almost the same way as they did when Serenity came out for Firefly, reintroducing the audience to these characters that they may not know or may not remember.
That's true. All right, I'll give you that. It just felt weird.
It feels weird because you're watching it right now. That's why it feels.
That's probably why. By the way, they did say there is another movie coming in their plans. There's supposed to be. Cool. They always had planned to have 2 feature films. And it just took several years for them to finally get.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'll tell you what. I love the cast of the show so much. I would love to see that entire cast in anything. I don't care if it's Deadwood or not. I mean, as much as I love Deadwood, I'm glad they're doing another one. I would love to see all these people working together.
In love with Ian McShane.
Ian McShane and the girl who plays Calamity Jane. Oh my God, she's so hilarious. Oh my God,
and she has been. That is Robin Weiger, and she has been in everything. She is.
Has she? What else has she been in?
You see her. Trust me, you see her all the time. If you start going through her IMDb list, she's on tons of TV shows. She's a
the last episode
of in the character actor scene. She's in everything. So
the last episode I saw before I had to stop to start watching the movie was the doctor. She's like. She made that contraption to keep herself on the horse so if she gets drunk, passes out, she doesn't fall off the horse. So she's hanging and dangling from it. And the doctor's trying to help her get out of it. And she's like, yeah, I farted, so what? And I'm just like laughing. She's so funny on this thing.
The show to me was amazing because on the one hand, and at the time it was super controversial for this because of the dialogue. And
the dialogue's amazing.
People focused on the obscenity. The swear words, the very rough language, but at the same time,
cocksuckers is now universally.
Everyone got called that.
I'm sorry.
But it was Shakespearean in the sense that
you beat me to it, Carlos. Exactly what I was going to say.
His own way of speaking. Because I binged it the first 2 seasons, and then watched the 3rd season in real time. And I started talking like that. In fact, my friend Kyle, I started texting him in Deadwood speak, and it drove him crazy. And I tweeted him earlier this week, and I said, "Hey, the Deadwood movie's going to be on Friday. Expect my call."
And Al Swearingen lives up to his name.
Yeah, he really does. But even apart from all the swearing, is just a beautiful textured way of delivering dialogue that
right.
The writing's
it's and the thing about it is it's in the true the Shakespearean comparison is very apt, because if you've ever watched seen a lot of Shakespearean plays and films and read it, in the beginning it's very difficult to grasp, but after a while it sinks in and it all becomes, you just adapt to the language entirely, and you get it and you appreciate it, and it's like a second language to you. And another example of this is, have you ever seen the film Trainspotting?
Some of it. It has Ewan McGregor, right?
Okay.
I love Trainspotting.
Yeah. Trainspotting with that ridiculously thick Scottish brogue throughout the entire thing, that's unintelligible.
Yeah, it's unintelligible.
Yeah, that's
good. But when you get through 20 minutes of the film, it all becomes clear. You understand everything. It's so weird how your mind adapts to it, and it's the same with.
It's like when you move, you get used to the local lingo. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's like it's like when you.
It's like Boomhauer speak.
Yeah. That was about to say same thing. It's like when you move from New York into the bayou is what it's like. It's almost
hang on to alligators, man.
Well,
early speech experts believe that we're hardwired for communication.
Yeah, that's true. Raul, give me your impressions of Deadwood as a show in general.
Although Carlos does not believe it's historically accurate,
it's very actually.
It has.
You'll find out exactly how far it departs from the historical record.
It embellished, but I did a lot of research before the show.
Not embellishment.
The highlights.
It embellishes drastically. But what it does is it brings the themes of the West.
And that's true. You know, there's a difference between true and factual.
Look,
I think it's true to the spirit of a lot of what happened in the West.
It's a true Klingon retelling.
Well, let me give you a quick way, guys. Let me give you a quick example, since I'm more recently having come out and watching the first couple of seasons, or first season at least. I'll give you one quick, because it comes to mind, because I just finished season 1 yesterday. One of the best examples of a historical truth that they embellished is the way that they captured McCall, the guy that killed Wild Bill Hickok. According to all the information you can find on Google and wikis and things like that, they skip over the details of how he got captured and turned in and was retried out of Dakota because of the fact that wasn't at the time annexed and part of the United States, so they were able to do that. What they filled in for the embellishment part was having Bullock be the one, and the details of how he went after him and was the one that turned him in. That part was made up for the show, but the details of the fact that he went out after being found innocent and then got captured and retried in wherever that place was.
They did
that was true.
Yeah, they did the same technique
just filled in the gaps a little bit.
Rome was the themes were correct, but the actual storylines were embellished.
Right.
Okay, I want to point this out since we're talking about Shakespeare. How many Shakespearean plays were done based on historical events? You've got tons. Julius Caesar, Henry V. I think it's safe to say that none of those plays would be considered historically accurate historical documents.
They were embellished.
They're not meant to be. Look, Deadwood is a mythology, is what it is. Okay,
right.
It's a mythology set in a more contemporarily accessible period of time, especially for Americans.
Right.
And that's what it really is. It's based on historical events, and it's based on things that actually happened, but it's not the historical record.
I think the best way to think of it is that the historical events that that are in the show are inspirations for a larger story that the writer David Milch, who I want to talk about a little bit in a minute, is weaving together. That weaves together a lot of predominant themes from the American West. But there are real people, people whose real names are used, but that's it. They're completely, the characters otherwise are completely made up.
They were embellished for those dime novels.
Dude, some people who appear in the show as characters, their names are real, but every single thing about them is completely and totally made up.
Right.
Well, also we know that the journalists and the novellas that they had, those dime novels or whatever they're called, that
I just think
journalists
our point,
exaggerated.
Though, is that it's an exaggeration to say that this is based on historical. It's historical.
It's well known that Wild Bill, for example, made up half of his exploits.
Yeah, in a real time and place with some people who actually existed. But that's kind of it. You can't go even to say it's an embellishment of history. I think is an overreach because
look, it's like 300. It's like, for example, Frank Miller's 300. It's yes, there was a battle for Thermopylae, of course, and there is a legend behind it, but it's nothing. The historical record of battle for Thermopylae
is not accurate at all.
Right, exactly. Well, right, exactly. But that's the thing, is really, as far as the historical record's concerned, neither is Deadwood. But it's not really supposed to be, and that's okay. I think the bigger premise of Deadwood is this mythology, is capturing the spirit of the Old West, the themes of the Old West, and of a growing country, and the things that go along with it. I think that's far more important than getting the historical record correct.
Well, like with Julius Caesar, and like with the real stories of Wild Bill, because of the way people ran around the frontier, self-promoting themselves like Wild Bill did, and having people back them up like Calamity Jane, and saying, in helping feed his legend, nobody knows. People claim things, but there's no way to be sure exactly what is 100% historically accurate. So you have to kind of historians take all and extrapolate all that information and accounts, and they kind of try to they argue about what was real, what wasn't. You'll never get the.
Yeah, but again.
But this show isn't even trying to.
It's not. I understand that. I understand that.
By design, it's not trying.
Yeah, no, I get that.
It's got great names and great characters with very little to do with the historical record.
But they take what's cool about it is they take a good setting. Let's take a moment to talk about Jerry Joel. I totally didn't realize at first who it was. I know her from somewhere, and the reason I was got a little emotional watching her, I'll tell you guys a little personal story. My last ex-wife, she had cerebral palsy, but it wasn't even nearly as bad as Jerry Joel. Just mostly it affected her hand and her walking. When I remember watching The Facts of Life when I was a kid, and I didn't know much about it. She educated the world on cerebral palsy. She was giving an acting job and made awareness of cerebral palsy. She had people, trying to understand it, donate to help understand and research it. She would try to help with it. And she got her first acting gig on Facts of Life, and then she went on to do other things. And I didn't realize she was, and I'm only using this because that's what she's known as on the show, which is they call her the Gimp. It's not to insult anyone with cerebral palsy. It's just that's the character's nickname.
Yeah.
And she is amazing on this show. And it was great. And I realized I knew who she was because she's not an actress pretending to be disabled. She really has cerebral palsy, and they give her that acting opportunity like they did on Different Strokes. Facts of Life. And she did an amazing job on the show, and they gave her shining moments, like with the leg brace storyline that I've seen so far. And then, of course, seeing her a little bit in the movie 10 years later, it's like she's a wonderful to watch.
George, you know what? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I never looked that deep into it. I didn't realize that she was.
I just recognized her for
No, well, I think it's great you did. I learned something new because I had no idea.
They even named her Jewel. They let her keep some of her real name.
Yeah,
That was
I didn't even realize that she really had cerebral palsy in real life. I had no idea. That's really interesting.
Yeah, she was an actress that was given the spotlight on Facts of Life to educate the audience and the world about cerebral palsy. They gave her the opportunity to, as an actress, not judge her by her condition, but use it as part of her personal story. Her character's name on Facts of Life was Jerry, and she was kind of playing sort of a version of herself, and they did the same thing for Deadwood, and I love that.
I only watched for Blair, I got to be honest.
I was a big Joe fan myself.
Tootie. Oh, Joe was cool, too, yeah.
Giles!
Tootie.
That's my Mrs. Garrett. That's my Mrs. Garrett.
You were gone last time when we got so bored that we had nothing else to talk about except for the Golden Girls and Facts of Life. And we talked about Tootie. And you had already left by then, and we were just wow, has it really come to this that we have that few subjects that we're talking about?
A whole show about the Golden Girls.
For the record, I was opposed to that.
You were opposed to that. Joe was the one that Joe pushed it, and then I kept rolling with it and said, okay.
So, speaking of little to no marketing for a movie, did you guys know there's another Shaft movie coming out?
Mm-hmm.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Do you know how I know? Because I saw
Pam
the
Grier
poster.
going to be in it?
Because I saw the reason I know is because I saw the poster last week when I went to see Pikachu.
Oh, that's right.
Pikachu.
I saw the okay, so I remember seeing the trailer for that. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Movies app.
Nothing for this at all. I just now saw a Facebook post for this movie that comes out the 14th of this month.
Yeah, I guess.
That's weird how people.
It's a reboot.
I think it's just.
No, it's a sequel.
Yeah,
it's a sequel to the reboot.
Okay. Yay.
So to wrap up our discussion about Deadwood a little bit, we will review. If everybody's seen it, we'll review the movie next week. I'm still in the middle of season 2. Blown away. Love it. Ian McShane for me is now. Sean, I will agree with you on one thing. You were like, I was saying Bullock was boring me. The character.
You got to give him time. You got to give him time.
I agree. Now I love him, especially.
You got to remember. You got to remember. Bullock coming into this was complete fish out of water. Okay.
Yeah.
He had no idea what he was doing. He was just trying to figure things out. Okay, and that's why he came off as kind of weak and kind of milquetoast. But he was very contemplative. Is really what he was. He was just taking it all in. And then and when Bullock snaps, it's fucking glorious.
When he beats the crap out of the father, loved it. Yep. I was going.
It's like his
that scene made me jump up and go.
That like changes everything, and like it's like that's when Bullock becomes the fire breathing dragon motherfucker.
And that actress that they picked, to play the female con artist with the brother there that they ended up murdering and beating up by Powers Booth. That episode really blew my mind. I thought they were going to drag it out longer, but I just something about that actress playing that con, the way she her attitude, it just wow.
The way you're talking about these characters reminds me of Head Rim Glasses guy from the first season of Heroes. Dude was totally a villain, and you hated his ass because everything he did was so villainous. Then you find out he's the adopted father of the cheerleader.
But Ian McShane and Oliphant, the guy who plays Bullock, they're two characters. The way that I'm not even going to compare it to Odo and Quark because it's
why it's what I did for 4 years.
Do you compare that? It's a little bit different.
I did. It's fucking great. It's a perfect nerd comparison.
Odo was a little bit more. Yeah, I guess.
But they are to the nth degree of Odo. They are the X-rated versions of Odo. The NC-17 versions of Odo and Quark. Totally.
I kind of saw that coming, but I was surprised by the way Bullock the character is not so stereotypical. I was expecting him. The reason I was hesitant to even embrace him is I foresaw him. Oh, he's an ex-marshal in a lawless town. You know what's going to happen. He's going to pick up the badge. That was expected. But it didn't. It hasn't played out the way I expected.
You expected Tombstone is what you expected. I think.
Well, I don't remember that movie that well.
I think the thing to realize about Deadwood is David Milch, the writer, set out to kind of explode so many of the Wild West movie traditions.
Yep.
I think the tropes, and he didn't quite make it as black and white as you expect.
No, that's exactly it, and that's what those
because
those
it wasn't.
It wasn't
right in those films, all those westerns, especially the spaghetti westerns from the 40s on through the 70s. That's what they all were. It was all black hat, white hat. It's all it was. And
Evil Indians.
In Evil Indians, and there were so many different shades of gray. And this is the thing about at the end of the day, you look at Swearingen and you say Swearingen is literally. He is the glue that holds that keeps that place from fucking.
As he was in real life, according to what I read.
He was concerned. Well, only thing that Swearingen was really concerned about was two things. One, making a little money, okay, and making sure the town didn't fucking explode is what basically.
And keep the cocksuckers out.
Well, yeah, of course.
That was his thing, cocksuckers, cocksuckers.
Right. So it's nothing black and white at all. You know what I like about this show too? It's like people were surprised with Game of Thrones, how they would kill off major characters. And I always said to myself, did you not watch Deadwood? Do you not know that no one was safe on Deadwood either? I mean, seriously.
Some characters were because of historical, somewhat.
Nope. Seriously, they are not a slave to history in this show.
Oh, did they kill people that that didn't actually die in history?
Yeah, like
I haven't gotten there yet. If it has.
In real life, Wild Bill Hickok and
I know about his history.
And Bullock weren't even friends. They didn't even meet each other.
Right.
Oh, they didn't?
Yeah, I mean,
so that was an embellishment.
Bullock the same day.
One day before Wild Bill Hickok was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, like, Wild Bill, one of the historical things about Wild Bill is that he used to always sit in the corner so that he wouldn't have somebody able to come up behind him. But when he went to that game, there was the one day that corner table was just.
Well, I think I think that's a legend type thing.
Yeah, that could be.
I doubt that.
Like
when he had the dead man's hand or whatever.
Yeah, the aces over eight. Yeah, that's.
Yeah. They call it the dead man's hand, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Seth Bullock never actually went after Hickok's murderer.
Yeah,
McCall never went after him.
Yeah.
In fact, he sat that out completely. Other marshals were the ones who ended up catching him. He never married his brother's wife. So there's so many things that just didn't happen.
Right.
I mean, there are plenty of things that were taken from.
They took a lot of liberties.
But
they
twisted history. They're trying to tell a good story.
That's it. That's what it comes down to, and they succeeded.
And in this movie, they are taking a historical. Excuse me. They knew what they had planned. They couldn't bring back Powers Booth, for example, because he died. They didn't want to recast him, so he won't be back. Again, I've only seen
the show.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I came to the show late, like after it was already. I guess 2 seasons.
Well, obviously, I'm the latest getting into it.
But I avoided it. I mean, I've always, I've been.
And by the way, if you, I want to point this out. If you don't have HBO Go, HBO Now, or anything like that, if you don't have HBO, it is available if you're on Amazon Prime. Just to let you know, for anybody who's interested in catching up on the series. So you've got that option there too.
Things like that too.
You guys were talking about Deadwood being a kind of subversion of Western tropes.
A little bit.
I remember this movie that I saw that was a subversion of everything Zorro. It's called Zorro, the Gay Blade.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember that one.
It came out in like the late 70s, wasn't it, or early 80s?
81.
Yep. There you go.
I remember that movie, not detail-wise, but I remember it.
So one thing I think we need to talk about, because I don't know if you guys know this, but the creator and head writer of Deadwood, a guy named David Milch, who's a genius. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and he's probably at this point in middle stage Alzheimer's. And he wrote this movie with Alzheimer's. He's that brilliant. He led a very hard life, lots of drinking. I'm not sure if he did drugs, but I wouldn't be surprised. Gambler. He was discovered by Stephen Bochco. He worked on Hill Street Blues. He's worked on some of the best TV series ever, and just utterly, utterly brilliant. Still is. But he wrote this movie while suffering from Alzheimer's, which I think is amazing.
Tremendous feat.
Consider.
Impressive.
So there's a great New Yorker article that just came out a couple of days ago, about a week ago, I guess, that features an interview with him, and the writer of this did an interview with him, 15 years ago when he was producing Deadwood, and just he contrasts like how different he's become, and sort of aware of it. David Milch is sort of aware of it. He understands it as like he has lapses, and then he comes back and writes some more. And his writing style, like he would literally be writing dialogue the day before actors were delivering it, which does not actually happen.
No.
It does happen. There are rewrites all the times, but he was like literally doing entire scenes.
That's crazy. That's savant.
Yeah. And just the way, read the New Yorker article, because they talk a lot about how they set up the writer's room for this, how they recorded their discussions and then used the recordings to, turn those recordings into different scenes and figure out where they fit into the season. And it's a very kind of non-traditional way for writing and producing a film. A series. And that was one of the things that
it's kind of interesting. That's kind of sometimes how I write some stuff for the audio stuff I've done. I would actually picture a scene, and I would picture scenes, and I would experiment with writing out a scene, like even if it was like 20 episodes later, just a scene, and working it in and making it fit into it. It's like, it's strange, but that process.
I'll tell you. And I haven't read any of your scripts, so I can't. This is
no. I know. I'm just saying sometimes that's the way my brain works too.
Teaches screenwriters. If someone told me that that's how they plan on doing their screenplays, I would tell them that's wrong. You have to literally be a genius like this man is.
George R. Martin actually wrote like that. He actually compacted his ideas scene-wise into a story.
Yeah, but here's the thing. We're talking about a guy who is writing scenes out, full-blown scenes out, and they're filming them the next day. That's what Carlos is saying.
Which George R. Martin could not do.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes people can wing it like that. It just depends on how you're.
Yeah, but George R. Martin wrote the Beauty and the Beast TV show for 10 years.
That's true.
So don't count him out.
Whoa. Okay. Before we go any further, I just noticed the conversation going on in our Facebook chat.
Yeah, I saw that too. We didn't want to go into it.
Can I point out the fact that George in the Facebook chat has dismissed a rumor?
I saw that.
Credibility to it.
I can learn. Did you
sometimes. See me smirk? That's why I smirk. I only saw the pop up here.
I also like to.
I didn't even see that.
What's this rumor? What is this rumor? I'm curious.
Well, supposedly they're credible sites, and I actually think I know what Ross is talking about.
You always start with
that Rey and is the daughter of Han Solo with a flirt of an affair from someone else.
Oh no, please!
It's not impossible, but it's like not worth talking about. No,
wait a minute. I like this. I like this notion that this was so outrageous of a theory for George, that George just goes, this is cheesy unless there's some proof to back it up.
I don't know what Ross is talking about. I want to point something out really brief. Everything that the Reddit group said about Game of Thrones turned out to be true. Sometimes people do have behind-the-scenes sources.
That's not a rumor, though. This is what we were discussing.
It's a leak.
You're right.
Yeah,
that's
you're right.
A leak. Big difference between a leak and a rumor. Right.
I agree. So it depends on where a source comes from, blah, blah, blah. But even if it's, I don't know. I think I know what he's trying to say, though, is that it's one of those type of sources that were always right in the past, like I did about Game of Thrones. But whatever, it's not worth really.
Exception, George, not.
It's not worth.
I'm still focused on the fact that George went, this is too crazy even for me.
It's not that it's crazy. No. It's not that it's crazy. I need more information to suggest that might be true. Other than just saying, sounds cool.
George is perfect. George is perfectly content to believe that Luke Skywalker is going to be
He's going to be on the Mandalorian.
And
that's not a rumor. That's my personal belief.
And the second season of Titans.
So, virtually guaranteeing it.
Wait, what about the second season of Titans? What about the second season of Titans?
The appearance by Luke Skywalker, of course.
Oh, that, yeah, sure. You'll see. Anyways,
but Rey being the daughter of Han Solo and some fling, no, that's a bridge too far.
JJ wants to go there. They were separated for a while, but whatever.
I will say about this. Somebody a couple of weeks ago posted about another Rey's parentage rumor for this. I can't remember what it was, but my response to that was, you know what? The fact that Rian Johnson basically said in Last Jedi, it doesn't fucking matter, is one of the things I like about The Last Jedi, because I don't give a shit who her parents are. I don't know how it advances the story. I think it's great that he just subverted expectations with that by saying, fuck it don't matter. Made me like Kylo Ren a whole lot. I'll tell you that much right there. Kylo Ren, Team Kylo. I'm telling you.
All right,
I want Kylo to win.
If you guys do not follow the Twitter of emo Kylo Ren, you are missing out, dude.
Yeah.
It is the funniest Twitter I have ever read.
You know what? Before episode 9 comes out, I want to order one of those masks that does the Kylo voice and do a segment on the show as we get closer and closer to episode 9, and just put it on and go, Kylo rumors, Kylo thinks, or something funny. There's so much. All right, anyways.
Like a Chad Bader thing.
Raul and I will probably discuss this on the Star Wars segment.
Means no.
Well, we will be talking about...
No.
That actually sounds like your voice, Sean.
I'm not going to skip over. I'm going to go backwards afterwards. But since we're on Star Wars, Raul, lead in about the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge subject.
Okay, so Disneyland in California has created a theme park for its Star Wars property called Galaxy's Edge, and they had a huge premiere.
Yes.
The truth is that they had George Lucas, Billy D. Williams, Harrison Ford, and
Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill. Yeah, I forgot his name for a moment. I wanted to call him Luke. Or the Joker, either way. But they had them in the premiere of it, and it is swamped. The reviews are very good for it from the early goers.
So
it opened tonight.
I'm just showing them some of the stuff. You can build a lightsaber.
Let's also acknowledge that it is a huge money grab by Disney. Everything there is so expensive.
14-acre, $1 billion Star Wars attraction.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it has to be in order to recoup.
There's only 2 rides in the entire thing. Only one of them actually works right now.
As you guys talk, I'll just show the audience.
But Carlos, in order to recoup their investment, they have to.
They made up a land, apparently, in this acres called Batu.
So people have been asking me, so you're going to take the kids? You're going to take the kids? Not this fucking year, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, not this year. It's so goddamn expensive.
A few years ago, I'll give you a reason why. A few years ago, at Downtown Disney at Disneyland, and if you've never been to Disneyland before, basically Downtown Disney is this big free area full of all these massive shops and these big stores. Like you got the Lego store, restaurants, all these things you go through before you actually get to the place where the park. So you got California Adventure on one side, you got Disneyland on the other. Okay, and we've gone to Disneyland several times. We've also just gone through Downtown Disney because it's just so much fun. I lost Hayden there for 90 seconds once, and it was the second most terrifying experience I've ever had in my entire life. I am not fucking going to Galaxy's Edge for a while. I will tell you that right now, because I psychologically I cannot handle it. The trauma of just thinking. I curl up into a fetal position just thinking about it.
Here's my favorite part about Galaxy's Edge. People, you have to make reservations to get in and pay in advance, and you are only allowed to stay there for 4 hours.
What?
If you stay longer than 4 hours, you are escorted out of the land by, and I kid you not, Imperial stormtroopers. I'm not kidding.
What are they going to do? Shoot me?
Wait, say that again because
No,
I think
stormtroopers
If you overstay your 4 hours, they will escort you from the premises.
Yeah, they're not going to shoot you. Stormtroopers can't hit shit anyway, so
That's
they're just going to escort you.
perfectly
actually, the
safe.
new ones can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll just be escorted off the premises.
I
Not off of
mean,
Disneyland, but out of.
But I mean, how do they know? Do they have a timer on?
I'm
What do you
sure
have?
they probably have RFID
Oh my God!
things, and there's ways to
They're
do this.
injecting the attendees.
You know,
With radioactive
When can you go in there?
this is
Wow,
sounding.
this
a lot-
podcast went south a little while ago.
No,
it's
but
sounding-
when
it's
I mean,
really
it is
sounding-
Disney.
No, but
It's
when's
sounding
it
a lot less
in there?
fun than I would expect. Is really what it comes down to. And you know what I'm noticing here, in all these shots, like you showed that article and everything, all I'm seeing are adults. That's all I'm seeing.
That's
I
true.
mean, this
That's a good point.
this seems to be geared primarily to 40-somethings. Is what it seems to be geared
Well,
primarily.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, they have
Raoul.
restaurants, they have bars, they
Yes.
have. I mean,
Right.
it's basically like the part of Disneyland. What is it called? New Orleans Square.
Mhm.
Which what are the rides they have? They have Pirates of the Caribbean, which is a big ride.
Haunted Mansion.
But most of the area is shops, restaurants. and
Yeah, kids don't care for it. You're
ambience
right.
Of New
Yeah, the
Orleans.
only the only reason I go over there is for Pirates and the Haunted
Pirates, of
Mansion, and that's it. Because there's nothing else over there for kids. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So 2 rides, and that's what we're seeing in Galaxy's Edge. 2 rides. So basically, Batuu is the New Orleans of Star Wars.
All right. So there you go. It's going to be interesting. It's going to make them a lot of money, and
It looks good. It looks cool as fuck. I got
it does.
Really
if you can
does.
afford to go there
Wow.
and do it, then do it. I mean, have fun.
I am curious. Have they? What are the? Because it's obviously it's separate from the park. It's. I mean, you.
It's in the park. It's part of the park.
I know that, but I get that. But you have to pay.
It's
a
almost like
separate
live.
admission.
It's almost like a live
Wait.
action role play type
Hold
thing.
on, hold on. You have to pay a separate admission for that part of the park, though. Is that correct, or is it part of your all inclusive pass?
You have to pay for the reservation. So
Okay.
that's how it.
How much is that?
I don't remember, but it ain't cheap. Does anyone remember? Does anyone have a?
I don't know because I really didn't care.
I
It's
didn't see that part.
like I'll never be at one of these places.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be expensive.
Yeah, it reminds me. It's like it reminds me of like
I think I saw like $400, but I could be wrong.
It reminds me of Star Trek: The Experience, except for times a million. It's kind of like what it reminds me of. I mean, it's a kind of a theme park that is geared primarily towards adult fans.
Oh my God! Could you imagine a Star Trek theme park where you could build your own $200 phaser?
Yeah, $199 to build your own lightsaber.
Which when you think about it, if you ever, I'm such a nerd. If you've ever shopped like custom lightsabers, that's not bad. I mean, but
well, I mean that's a standard one of those specialty lightsabers.
Yeah,
anyway.
it really is. Yeah, that's not really bad. But again, who's that for? I mean, that's not for kids. I mean, and the whole purpose of me going there would be to take my kids, and it doesn't seem like it's really geared towards them at all.
I think they part of the admission thing is, and this may be temporary, but you have to stay at the Disney Resort. And those prices run between $400 and $600 a night.
Yep, they sure do. Which is why we never did.
So that's how you get into it.
You can literally get a motel across the street from Disneyland for $90 a night, and that's why we've never done that. It's no point. But now you guess you don't have a choice. You want to go see Star Wars.
Yeah, the base price is $129
Per person or the whole
person? No, per person, dude.
Florida
I didn't think it was.
Florida, the Florida parks for Disneyland are much more affordable in terms of the raw costs and the associated costs.
All right. You guys ready to move on?
Oh, yeah. So here it is. Just
Sorry.
to clarify, you don't pay a separate admission fee for it. You get in for the Disneyland admission price, which goes up, I think, tomorrow to $149 for anyone 10 and older. But you have to have a reservation, and those are hard to get.
There's ways around that.
Easiest way to get it is
stay at a property.
But yeah, so there are ways around it, but it ain't cheap. Disney's Paradise Pier Hotel, $412 a night. Disneyland hotel rooms, $561 a night.
I don't like Disneyland. Hotel, I like Disney World.
No, I love Disney, but I mean, when you've got a family of 5, like I do, it's one. Yeah, it kills you. It's like one of those things. Like, okay, so we got a really big tax return this year. So, let's do Disney this year.
And I've only done Disney World,
and not for another 4.
In Florida.
Disney World in Florida is by far superior.
Yeah, well, I liked it. I'd never been to Disneyland, so I kind of never been to California. So we'll see to compare it. All right, let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about the Dark Crystal teaser for a minute, because I was a huge fan of the original movie, and I am very happy with what I saw that Netflix. I was worried about Netflix for a little while, but I'm starting to think this could help. This is going to be one of their catalogs of good original stuff that they have the rights to do, and I'm kind of impressed with what I've seen, because they're using puppeteering and CGI, and of course that makes everybody happy. But did you see what they've done with the level they've taken the puppeteering?
No, it's great.
Is impressive
shit.
And they kept
the son. It's the son of Jim Henson, Christopher Henson.
Right. He separated the Muppet. He sold Muppet show and all that stuff to Disney, but he kept. This is his thing.
Kept the Creature Factory.
He kept Creature Factory, and he kept the Dark Crystal rights, and he kept probably Labyrinth and a few other things. But this is an example of elevating it to the next level, because it feels like the original movie, but it's up a notch. And I'm really impressed. I'm going to start with Carlos.
Is this a series or a movie?
It's a series. It's a series.
Good.
No, wait. You know what? Yeah, Carlos, you start and see what you think.
Well, I mean, all I've seen is the trailer. It looks great. I'm looking forward to it. And to be honest,
not much to say, right? Except
I'm one of those people who I liked Dark Crystal. I didn't love it. I loved the way it looked. It was sumptuous. It was gorgeous to look at. Story-wise, it was okay. It wasn't terrible. It was pretty good. But the story didn't knock me out.
It became a cult classic. It was more after,
because it was at the right. It came out at the. It was aimed at the right audience,
right?
And it's an audience that's basically my age and a little younger, and so we're nostalgic about it.
Yep.
And because the visuals are just so amazing,
stunning.
I watched it again recently, probably about 2 years ago, and
it still holds up.
Oh, it holds up. But what you realize is the story isn't as.
No, it's not. What holds up is the effects.
Yeah, the effects, the puppeteering,
and the voice acting, because that's something I've noticed too.
Here's the thing. I want to explain. My Harrison actually, he got the book. He had never heard.
Just to be clear, he's your
my oldest son
who does wear pants.
He does wear pants. Yes,
he wears
occasionally.
Yes, and
except for tonight.
No, that was Hayden.
That was Hayden. That's right. Yeah,
Hayden never wears pants. Oh my god!
But he was wearing it was like he was wearing a toga. But anyways,
no, he had a blanket because he didn't want to be embarrassed about it. But he gets, that kid is, the moment he gets indoors, boom, everything's off. Yep. So, but Harrison, he was reading the book, and I told him, I said, there's a movie about this, right? What? There's a movie, and he's been mind blown when he saw the movie. So, but it's a very
great kids movie for sure.
Yeah, and it's got the book actually. I guess it's a massive lore. I mean, it really is really expansive. And I didn't know this, but he did, because he watches YouTube videos since that's how he got involved in it. And then I showed the movie. I mean, he was just amazed. But yeah, when we were kids, when did it come out? 83, 84?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay. So I was 8, 9 when it came out, and so it was fucking amazing when I first saw it, and I think that
82.
Netflix, okay, so like 6 or 7. So I think what happened, I think what Netflix is going for here is they really are pushing that nostalgia button a lot with their programming and what they're going for now, which is smart to do, considering that that demographic is a demographic that spends money and is actually technologically inclined, as opposed to if you went older, they're not so much. So this makes sense. I mean, it really looks like a dead bang winner. I can't wait to see it.
Raul, did you get a chance to check out the trailer?
Yes, sir.
What did you think, buddy?
I really enjoy it as a fan of the original. Jim Henson has a special place in my heart because Jim Henson's Muppets taught me English in this country as a young boy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were very influential in my learning English.
That's actually really awesome. Cool. So through the Muppets or through Sesame Street?
Through Sesame Street and the Muppets and different because he was very, even though the characters seem silly and frivolous, they speak very good English.
Speak great English. I also learned English from television. This, of course, was back in the 60s where everyone spoke perfect English. And so, when I got older, I mean, I spook perfect English.
This is interesting.
All of my friends would be like, why do you talk like that? I'm like, this is how I learned.
Really funny that I hear this a lot from people who have South American Latin backgrounds, that they learn their English from American television. It's like I watched the 4-part Lorena Bobbitt documentary on
fellow Colombian.
Right, and she learned.
Don't piss us off.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the rallying cry of every woman. No, I'm just kidding.
But she learned English from American soap operas, and this is a very, very common thing. And it's kind of funny because in reverse, there was a time in my life where I didn't have cable and I had really shitty reception, and the only thing I can get was Univision or Telemundo, and I used to watch fucking telenovelas, and I didn't understand the language, yet I knew exactly what was going on.
I remember Telemundo. I remember Telemundo. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My people are very expressive with their hands.
Yeah.
Like Carlos.
Why do you think I'm like this?
Italians are too.
Remember Salvador Gigante?
Yeah. Salvador Gigante. The Teletubbies. My mom still watches. She's a devoted viewer of telenovelas, and whenever I go to visit her, I
Telemundo was a soap, right?
No, it's a channel.
It was a variety show.
Oh, that's right.
No. Salvador Gigante was a variety show.
Salvador, right? It was a variety show. Yeah, with the crazy costumes and everything. It was great.
Yeah, it was basically Latino television is about 20 years behind American television in terms of what's popular, what kind of formats are popular.
Yeah.
So like variety shows went out of fashion in North American television a long time ago. They're still
very popular in Latino,
Brazil and everywhere. And it's not just Latinos who learn English that way. I remember when I was casting my first film, and we ended up casting this guy from Belgium, and he came over. He came over to visit several months before we actually shot the film. And he came with his boyfriend, and they both speak perfect English, like perfect English, not just grammatically perfect. I mean, like idiomatically, they use the same slang, the same, all perfectly natural. And I asked him, how do you know this? Like, you don't just know the language, like these shades of idioms that, and they're like, oh, well, American television, but we watch it with the subtitles. They don't watch dubbed, they watch subtitles.
Subtitles. That's the way you learn.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
They see on the bottom of the screen, they pick up all of this stuff.
Yeah, because if they see like someone say something and then it's translated for you,
So
I'm just curious. You and Raul and Carlos, you two, when did you guys start learning English? I'm curious.
3 years
At what
old.
age?
3 years old.
I started, I basically acquired English and Spanish at the same time. I was 1 when we came.
Okay.
So, I mean, we spoke Spanish at home, but my brothers and sisters were all older than I was, so they started school way before I did, and so they would come home speaking English. And then, of course, there was television. So.
My parents had a strict rule. My father spoke to me only in Spanish, and my mother spoke to me only in English.
Interesting.
When I was learning.
This is very common to have rules about that. In my house, the rule was you do not address mom and dad in English. You only converse with them in Spanish. And we could talk to one another in English, but we were not allowed to talk. If my mother spoke to me, I had to respond to her in Spanish. We had a family of friends, also from Colombia, that were even stricter. There was no English allowed in the house at all, even between the kids. And at the time, I remember thinking, God, that is so draconian. But I'll tell you what, I'm still friends with these kids. We're all, old now, and their Spanish is way better than mine. And so it was
repetition at an early age is the best learning method. You learn critical thinking around 5 or 6.
And this is how a lot of Trekkies know Klingon. Anyways, no, I'm joking. No, that's really cool to hear, though. That's an interesting story. I mean, that's it's amazing, actually. But I think that's cool that.
Yeah, I have no propensity for languages whatsoever.
I don't know what to say. But it goes to show you the power of, because Sesame Street, the Henson legacy.
The Henson legacy.
Oh, yeah.
In general.
Right.
Is what it's all about. It's like they changed a lot of people's lives.
It was one of the few celebrities that I've ever cried for when he passed.
And
which
it
is
was
why.
such a tragic death.
Yeah.
Too.
How did he die again?
He died of flesh-eating bacteria.
Oh.
It was completely unexpected, and it was back when it wasn't even a thing yet.
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about. I just didn't know that he died that way.
If I recall correctly, if he had gotten to it earlier, it would have been treatable.
Yes.
But he was a Christian scientist, and he refused.
Oh, they didn't believe in the medical. Yeah.
Right. He refused seeking the medical treatment.
Steve Jobs. He didn't like Western medicine, and so he put off seeking any kind of treatment for his cancer until it was way too late.
Wow.
Same thing.
Sad.
It was totally
sad.
treatable.
Well, at any rate,
but what a legacy, though. I mean,
yeah, but that's what I mean. That's why I'm looking forward to this, because everything we just talked about, you could see the next evolution. Son, I know you haven't probably watched the trailer. I don't know if you watched when we said we were going to watch.
Look, I am all for this series. I don't need to see a trailer to know I'm going to watch this series.
You're going to love it.
It just looks amazing how they're blending.
To be honest, I skipped the trailer because I'm going to watch it regardless, and I'm going to binge it.
Cool.
I was just curious. I wanted to see the effect.
It's just interesting to see how they're blending the puppeteering with the modern CGI.
It's done very
because all the gelfling,
seamless. It looks very
the gelfling and Skeksis stuff. You can tell when they're. You can only tell that they're definitely doing the practical effect, actual puppeteering, but you can also see that they're blending the CGI in a way that you can't really be sure.
And you know what else I caught too at the 32-second mark?
Oh, the little furry guy.
No, what I caught was Luke Skywalker.
So cute, little furry.
Oh,
I saw Luke Skywalker at the 32-second mark. So,
George, you're never going to live that down, man.
Nope.
Until he shows up with his green lightsaber. So, anyways, okay.
No.
You just got that ready because you knew you were going to need it.
No. 1,000 times no.
Carlos, what's going on with that tardigrade lawsuit? Because there's been some things that have happened since the last time we talked about it, hasn't there?
There's been a lot of whining.
There's been a lot of whining. In terms of the actual lawsuit, nothing has happened. It is ground to a halt. It is all of the stuff that the judge asked for.
Real quick for those that may not know, because not everybody that watches this is a member of Vaccine Wire, although a good chunk of them are. We're talking about the lawsuit that Anas something or other.
Abaddon?
Abdeen. His name is Anas.
Yeah, you give a brief synopsis, Carlos. You can
lives
word it better.
I'm blanking on. He doesn't live in Egypt. He lives in
Libya.
I forget which country. It's an Arab country.
Kuwait.
Kuwait, yeah.
Oh, is it Kuwait? All right.
Kuwaiti resident, but he's Egyptian by nationality. And he's a video game developer, and he developed a point-and-click 16-bit game called Tardigrades. And Tardigrades are cool. Unfortunately, when he saw Star Trek Discovery, he's like, they stole my ideas. And he looked at the fact that they also use a tardigrade, and the tardigrade can travel through space, and that some of the characters in Star Trek Discovery look like some of the characters in his. And by characters, I should say actors, because it's an important distinction. Because for his theory to be correct, the creators of Discovery had to be so slavishly devoted to stealing his ideas and preserving his ideas that they only considered hiring actors who looked exactly like Anas Abdeen.
Yeah, some of them like there was an African American woman and whatever. He was trying to say they were copying everything.
Yeah, basically he got these very generic looking characters, like a woman with, and it's much more likely that they came from already, because he's I don't want to say he stole, but he based a lot of his game on Dune, on characters from Star Trek, from Star Wars. A lot of influence that you see in his in his own work, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Trouble is, he's looking at Discovery and saying, "Well, you stole my ideas, therefore you owe me a lot of money." So it's I've been covering it for close almost to a year now. Hasn't got a lot of mainstream media coverage because the case is still so preliminary that if it survives this motion to dismiss that is currently under consideration by the judge, then you may see more media attention being paid to this. But if it doesn't survive, it will wither away. Meanwhile, on YouTube, all of the Discovery-hating YouTube conspiracy theorists have latched onto this story because it provides some kind of anchor for their hatred of Star Trek Discovery, and some kind of justification for why they believe it is so obviously terrible, because the ideas behind it were stolen from this poor video game developer. So Anas Abdeen, if you've read all of the court documents, he does not have a strong case, and most of the copyright attorneys who have commented on the case have also said he doesn't have a strong case. And his own attorneys, who are not great attorneys, have so messed up his case that even if he were to win, he is eligible for almost no damages. So
yeah.
But if you were to listen to, because his copyright was filed too late and a bunch of other reasons that are, technical parts of copyright law, basically he didn't follow those in a timely enough fashion to be able to really go after any real big money in damages.
Carlos, I have a question. Was there ever a motion to settle with this developer?
We don't make motions to settle.
Were there any ever? Are you asking? Was there ever any offer out there by CBS to settle? Not that we're aware of.
Not that we're aware of. At this point, it's a nuisance.
Yes.
And it's not in their interest to appear to pay off.
Just curious. I'm not taking a side.
Because and most studios are like this. They will
fight these allegations of plagiarism and things like that.
Because if they don't, they open the floodgates. Am I right?
Exactly. That's exactly it. Right. And what's the most recent one where the guy just completely dropped his case entirely?
That was Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, right?
Yep.
Frankly, that was a much stronger case going to trial. They were like 2 days away from trial. And because he had actually shared a script with the what's the name of the brother?
The creators of the show.
Duffer Brothers.
The Duffer Brothers, right?
They had actually seen his script. There are some similarities between his script and.
Oh, I don't mean to cut you off, but it's similar to what happened with Michael J. Straczynski with DS9 versus Babylon 5. In a way.
No.
Really.
It's more like it's closer to the guy who wrote the A script for what Disney took to make Cars.
I don't even know that story.
I don't know that well enough to know if it's parallel, but the idea in this one, I mean, where it differs, George, from the DS9 J. Michael Straczynski, I forget to. Idea was that he apparently pitched the idea to Paramount, and they said no, and then a year later, boom, there's Deep Space Nine, which at the same time as
right.
5 came out, and so the popular mythology around this is obviously they stole his idea, turned it into their own thing, and then
right.
When in truth, they probably already had this in mind.
Yeah.
Stories about space stations are
unique.
Original,
Right. Exactly. And the thing about this is too with the J. Michael Straczynski thing. I've never. Correct me if I'm wrong, but J. Michael Straczynski has never come out and said they stole.
He never accused them.
Right.
Right. Other people.
This has been the interwebs that have created this mythology around this more than anything else.
Yeah, he never actually tried to take action or whatever. It's just been people.
I mean, he's written about this even fairly recently, in which he's like, "Look, this happened."
It's like with us. It's real quick. It's like us with the Super Geeks brand. Sometimes people just happen to come up with similar ideas.
Yeah, but there's nothing particularly unique about our show except for us because we're awesome. But the concept of in J. Michael Straczynski's case, there's nothing particularly unique about that. And here's the thing: it's like his approach to this.
Nothing proprietary or whatever.
Right. His approach to this is that this is Hollywood, and this is a specific genre, and. It's not out of the realm of possibility at all that it's coincidental that
it happens all the time.
It happens.
That's
all
like
the time,
that thing where how Dave Galanter, for example, will say, "Don't tell me if this is a good idea because I don't want to be accused later of using your idea because I happen to come up with something similar and same idea."
Yeah. So they're very careful about that sort of thing.
Yep.
And in the case of the Duffer Brothers and Stranger Things, it turned out that during the deposition of their expert witness who was getting ready to testify on how similar the two scripts were, the series and the original script that his client wrote, or the guy he was testifying for wrote. During deposition, they showed him some documents that apparently made it super clear that the Duffers came up with this completely on their own. I guess it was probably stuff that was predated before they ever met him, and it was already well underway in terms of development, and it just happened to be a similar idea. And so he pulled out and he said, I can't after seeing these documents, I can't testify that this was the case. And they pulled out of they withdrew the whole case, 2 days later. So so where we are with the Tardigrades case is that it has been, I guess, 2 months now. All of the pleadings have been sitting on the desk of this judge, and she needs to U.S. District Judge in New York, and she needs to decide whether or not to grant the defense motion to dismiss the case. The defense, of course, being the defendants, of course, being CBS.
How long does she have to make that decision?
Or whenever she wants.
Okay.
And
whenever she.
I didn't know if there was a time ceiling or whatever.
No.
This particular judge is known for sometimes taking months before she issues.
Right. Oh, okay.
But here's the thing that's really important to point out, because I watched, as I said, he has won adherents and advocates on YouTube, and they're all the usual suspects, Macarandum and
Doomcock, Midnight's Edge,
Doomcock,
Nerdrotic.
Onto this.
Okay. Moving on.
The point being and the reason we shouldn't skip over is these people have tens and hundreds of thousands of viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this and take their word as gospel. And
that's exactly what me and Son have experienced recently with one of our friends. We won't name him on the air, but you know what we're talking about.
And
like, guys, this makes sense. This makes sense.
Nerdrotic, for example, just put out a video.
That's one of the ones he was quoting. Yep.
And what he said was, he actually said that CBS and Netflix are dragging their feet, and this isn't, that's the reason the case isn't moving forward, and they're not, and in point of fact, there is a small grain of truth in that CBS did drag its feet a little bit on some of the discovery that, but all of that has been turned into the judge. It's the judge who is dragging her feet on making a decision on the motion to dismiss. So, but of course, in his narrative, CBS has to be the terrible villain.
Can we talk a little bit about fan proprietorship of the properties that they're endorsing? You have no right to the entertainment you watch. In terms of anything, it's not.
But that's in this particular case. The Tardigrade lawsuit, that's different.
I think Raul's talking about these YouTube.
Oh, yeah,
right.
Yeah. No, they build their brand around we are true fans, and we're only standing up for
that's true.
We represent. It reminds me a lot of Nixon's silent majority comments during the 70s and 60s. Where he said that he spoke for the unwashed masses who didn't have a voice, but they were actually in the majority, and he was wrong. He was completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to equate it to this notion of quote keeper of the faith that a certain fan film producer or who hasn't produced a fan film has run with for the last 5-6 years. This notion that that fandom has any ownership over these properties because they're the consumers is absurd. I've made this analogy before that if Apple puts out a phone and it has the features I want and I buy it, it doesn't give me the right to tell Apple how to make their next iPhone at all. Just like it doesn't give a fan the right to tell the producers of Game of Thrones how to make their show, producers of Star Trek how to make their show. You didn't do this, right? You didn't do this. You owe me because I bought your product before.
Right. If you get a following, it makes them feel as though they are the gatekeepers of that property.
The only thing you have a right to do is either to choose to consume or choose not to consume. That's it.
You vote with your wallet. That's how
it.
And also the thing is,
the thing is, the audience has voted with their wallet in the case of Discovery, in the case of Game of Thrones,
especially now.
All these franchises, Star Wars, whatever the case may be, they voted with their wallets.
It's the easiest way to democratize.
They also
entertainment. It's really about your dollar. That's why the subscription services are so key. I really think that they're breaking the market and showing people that they can consume specific media that they want and they want to see more of and pay for it. And that is the biggest signal to the people at the top who produce and organize these networks to show that you want more of that content. That's it. That's your responsibility as a fan.
Here's the interesting
democratization. I agree.
But here's the interesting thing: the rules have changed with the new streaming thing. It's subscribers, not ratings, and they're not going to get the reaction they think that they're soapboxing for. They're not going to get to downvote. It's not like hitting a thumbs down on a YouTube video where you're going to get rid of Discovery by hitting the thumbs down, because the subscribers, half of them don't even pay attention to what people are saying on the internet. They just want to watch it. They're not going to say, "Oh, look at all these videos saying how Star Trek."
This is why, as much as Carlos goes on about these people having hundreds of thousands of followers. Okay, those people chose to partake in these people's content. Doesn't mean they're the majority of anything.
Well, and I'm not claiming that. What I'm saying is that they're putting, like, regular people who don't have a stake in it one way or the other hear these things, and take them as fact.
They believe
You
it
know,
as fact.
some of them do,
all
you're
the
right.
time on
It's
Twitter, on Facebook, where people are like, the whole thing about, oh, it has to be 25% different,
Right.
when that's completely false. But people believe it because they've heard it so much.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's because of the meta tagging and how it's up when you click the subject, it's suggesting you watch this video.
If that's all you see in your, if that's what you constantly see in your feed, it's going to influence. There's no question about it.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. You have to partake in that content to be recommended.
No,
that
not
content.
necessarily. Look, here's the thing. I get with, if you look, because the Super Geeks is actually, the Super Geeks channel now is my channel. If you look in your suggested videos, and the suggested videos for us, for Super Geeks, George, you will see constant Doomcock, Midnight's Edge, Nerdrotic, Axonar, all the shit that I would have.
And I already found out how to get rid of it, but
yeah, but my point being though is, if you, that's right, you filter. I don't. It just constantly gets recommended. And
well, if you click, don't want to see it, and they say tell us why.
It's not the George.
People don't.
Oh, all right, go ahead.
Right. That's not my point. The point here is that the fact of the matter is that I am interested in Star Trek. I am interested in Star Wars. I am interested in all these things.
Right.
So therefore, I'm going to get recommendations for Doomcock, recommendations for Midnight's Edge, Nerdrotic, all that shit. And you start, if you're just a casual user, you're going to believe that this is the majority opinion when it's clearly not.
Yeah, it's like Johnny and Cobra Kai.
It's like, you know what it's like? It's like fake news. Like with these bullshit articles that one malcontent puts in his feed, and then a bunch of other people spread them around.
It looks official because of the way they're
No,
and Facebook,
they have nice graphics
and Facebook recommends this because you know this person and you know this person.
People who aren't. It's not their fault if they don't know. I mean,
that's exactly it. And this strategy is being used in politics. It's being used in media, in entertainment, and I see Carl's point that you have to talk about it because of the fact that with these YouTubers that have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers and viewers,
73,000 people have watched this Nerdrotic thing.
Right, and how many of those people shared that dumbass video, and then those people shared that video. Yeah, and it spreads like a virus.
They just want to. It's
so there's a ton of people who are not necessarily like Discovery haters, but they believe that it happened. They
believe they can make a difference.
I have seen so many people that are not Discovery haters that have spouted that 25% rule, thinking they know something about something, that I've gotten into fights with. Not fights, but like I've
arguments.
I've addressed in a very argumentative manner over it, because it's like, you know what the fuck you're talking about, and then you realize they're not haters. They just don't know. It's just the information they got.
The mutual friend of me and son, when he started first quoting people like Lord Doomcock and Nerdrotic, he never quoted Mecha Random, thank God, but certain other elements, he didn't know, and he said, I didn't know, and it took me a second not to. It's not your fault because it's coming up on your feed, and I get it. But he would watch the videos, and he did have a point. There was at least one Lord Doomcock video that wasn't completely biased. It was just quoting facts about
a broken clock can be right twice a day.
That's pretty much what it was. So, but they took that as gospel,
right? Because here's the strategy. Here's what they do. They will take facts that are already known, and they will work them together with rumor, and present those rumors as fact.
Yep.
And then come up
to
with.
Be fair, they will often say they are rumors, but what they do is they present the rumors as based in fact.
They're twisting the words like a salesperson.
Yeah,
like
they will always be the first one to say, "We said that this was just a rumor."
Yeah.
But
it's like false claims
after
in sales.
That disclaimer, they move ahead as if it was fact.
Exactly.
If you ever done sales jobs, they're false claims. They're taking claims and they're making them sound better.
They take a nugget of truth and they wrap it in a whole bunch of bullshit. Is what they do.
Same idea. Yep. As a someone that's done a lot of sales jobs, you have to be careful what you say over the phone when you're working for a call center, and you don't want to make false claims. But you can take the wording and say it in a way that makes the person subconsciously go, I'm seeing it in a different light.
No, you can see if you're really a good critical thinker, you can see them pressing the buttons.
Yeah, exactly.
They're doing.
I agree.
It's the manipulation of fact.
And this is the thing. It's like it's concerning to me because as much as I can't stand these people, they know their craft, and that's what I think is so troubling. They know exactly which buttons to push, and I don't have it in me. I don't have the foggiest idea how to do that myself. I can recognize it when I see it, but I wouldn't know how to do that, and it just concerns me that they're that good at doing this.
Well,
There's a political speech analyzer. He studies languages. His name is George Lakoff, and I highly recommend his book How to Speak Like an Elephant. And it talks about the way politicians use language in the very manner you're talking about now, and it would shed a lot of light on what you're talking about.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to at least one more subject. Rambo's got one more movie coming out. I actually
don't take a bio break because I don't give a shit.
I know.
Yeah, he's about to give up a shit.
He's going to do a bio break. Maybe you are. Depends which area.
No. He's giving up a shit.
I can't. The trailer looks. It looks.
Wait, can I say
like.
one thing, Sean, real quick?
Go ahead.
I had my doubts about the last Rocky Balboa movie before Creed came into play. And it turned out to be the capping on the whole thing, the bookend. That was amazing. It was probably one of the best in the whole franchise. So I'm going to take that kind of positivity of the glass being half full and trust Sylvester Stallone as a director, as a writer, as an actor, and say maybe he's figured out a way that he's only doing this because he actually has a vision, like he did with Rocky Balboa.
But here's the one problem. The one problem with that. The one problem with that is that there's only been one good Rambo movie, and that was the original First Blood.
But maybe
the rest have been schlock.
Yeah, but he has more.
It's based on the book. It's based on the First Blood book, and really the book's conflict is about two soldiers going through working through their issues with the wars they fought in. One in the Korean War, which is the sheriff, and the other one in the Vietnam era, which is Rambo. In
the movie, he wasn't in the Korean War. He was just a non-vet. That's interesting. The sheriff guy.
Yeah, continue.
Played by the guy who was the father of Shelby in TNG. But anyway.
Yes, Brian Dennehy. Come on, we're all continue.
I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah, so the book itself is actually quite deep, and that's what attracted Sylvester Stallone to the concept.
I wasn't aware it was based off a book.
Yes. Rambo First Blood.
Yes, I mean the First Blood is a great movie because it's completely divorced from the sequels in that it's about a soldier's struggle when he comes home. That's what it's about, and that's what makes it so good.
Tommy Lee Jones did a similar movie that's also based on a book called The Park Is Mine, based on real life facts.
You know why I'm a little optimistic though? Is because, like I said, when Stallone at this point in his career and his life, everybody laughed when they revealed that they were making Rocky Balboa, but it was based off. He got the idea from George Foreman's comeback fight, and it turned out to be so good. I mean, he had a vision about, no, I'm going to do this one last movie, not only to make up for Rocky V, which nobody can blame him for that, but the fact that he had a vision for how to end, even though he spun off into Creed, same franchise generally, but the way he did it was beautiful, and I loved Rocky Balboa. It was an epically great bookend to the Rocky part of the whole saga. So,
but I think George, I think there's.
I don't think they just talked him into doing it for the hell of bringing Rambo back. I think he had an idea.
I think the problem I have, and are we sure that Stallone is involved in the writing of this? Because
I'm kind of thinking at this point, his career, that he had a lot to say. He wouldn't have done this unless he had an idea that this could work.
Well, the problem.
I'm being optimistic.
I think the bigger problem I have with this is that it's becoming difficult for me to envision a guy who's in his 70s being an action hero. You know, it's a little different with Arnold, only because Arnold's still in incredibly good shape. Number one, number two, he plays a cyborg in Terminator films, so it's kind of a different thing there. But
I'm just saying, like, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt because of Rocky Balboa.
Carlos,
like,
Carlos is checking his site.
I just feel that
I'm a bit skeptical.
I know. But the only reason,
I'll tell you why the trailer actually because the problem I have with the trailer is the trailer looks too polished. It looks like too much of a Hollywood, like your standard action.
You're all right about that.
Your standard action Hollywood.
You can even see them all shot up in one scene in the trailer, so you can tell where it's going.
No,
I don't know.
I just think it's exciting when Sylvester Stallone can cross the street and not break a hip.
I mean, this is the same reason why I have no desire to see the next Indiana Jones film. I mean, it was terrible enough in 2005.
You never know, though. They can always surprise you.
Not interested.
I'm not interested unless everybody says it's awesome. Then I'll see it.
Yeah, I mean, this is
2 words for you: atomic refrigerator.
Yep, there you go. Oh my. What happened to George?
He
lost our host.
Oh, nothing. I had to do something offline. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying the only reason I'm willing to give it a shot is because, like I said, I was surprised by how beautiful Rocky Balboa was, and I feel that Stallone has more of a he won't.
Yeah, but he also did the Expendables.
He wouldn't have done this unless he had maybe an idea where he's going with it. That's all. He wants to wrap this up. He wants to wrap the whole story. I think Rambo's going to die, but you never know. He might be all right.
I think the fucks I give is really low.
Basically, what you're saying, George, is that this you want to see this last Rambo movie as the new Picard series. Patrick Stewart is doing this because it's something different than what he did before.
I guess I don't need closure on the Rambo franchise.
We'll see. I'm just saying, let's give it a shot.
That is
I'll wait for the reviews. I'm not going to go running in there on day one and go see it. But we're going to get the early era. Is this like a surprise good movie?
The loose ends of Rambo.
Right, exactly. We got to tie up those loose. What happened to Colonel Troutman?
I was going to say the Colonel. Sure. The Colonel. Is the Colonel still alive, the actor?
No,
he's passed. No, I don't think he is. Brian Dennehy's gone too. That would be cool to have him back, but he's dead.
Brian Dennehy's not dead.
He's not?
No, dude. He's not only is he not dead.
He better be in this movie then.
He's a recurring character on the Blacklist, dude.
Well, then they need to bring him back. Then they need to bring him back the way they did Dolph Lundgren for
awesome.
Creed.
Brian Denny's a great actor.
By the way, Creed 2, just to throw this in there since we're talking Stallone for a minute, Creed 2 was amazing.
I got to see I got to see the first one, and I've heard the second one.
Oh, the first one was amazing. I saw the first one in the theater. Creed 2 is with Dolph Lundgren and the way they handle the character. Dolph Lundgren's character in Creed 2 and his son, and they bring back Brigitte Nielsen, and the way they handle his humiliation that he had experienced from being beat by Rocky in Russia. Incredible. His character arc is
like the Rocky version of Cobra Kai.
It's kind of is. Have you seen it? Creed 2?
No, I haven't. I watched it.
I've heard nothing but good
I'm not going to spoil it.
I didn't realize.
I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm just going to say you'll be
surprised
surprised with how this movie ends. It's not what you think.
I didn't realize.
It's not a typical Rocky movie type where it has an interesting ending and it ties in with what happened in Rocky 4 in a kind of poetic way.
I did not realize that Ivan Drago was it
dovetails.
Him and his son. Yep.
It dovetails into Detective Pikachu.
Dovetails into No, you'll be surprised if you don't even have to see Creed 1 to see Creed 2, but it helps. But I'll tell you what, the way that the angle comes in from Ivan Drago being resentful of being beat by Rocky, because you got to remember he's a Soviet, and back in the 80s when he got beat, his honor was fucked up. So he was hoping to win this back through his son. But then there's a twist, so I'm not going to tell you what the twist is. But
if I ever told you that I am a huge fan of Dolph Lundgren in general.
He's a great movie.
He's not just.
I hope he has a He-Man cameo.
He's not just a fantastic action. Well, go ahead.
I was just really quickly. He speaks, I think, one of the best lines in all cinematic history.
What, I will break you?
He dies.
I will break you.
Yeah.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I will
And
break you.
he was Avenged, you know, but he has a
See,
cameo.
I will break you. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. Yes,
Yeah, it's
but no,
brilliant.
if you look into Lundgren, actually, that dude is a Renaissance man. That guy has doctorates in all sorts of different sciences.
He does. He's
Yeah,
brilliant. He's a biologist.
he's a brilliant guy. Yeah,
Yep.
and
Did you ever see a movie called The Beast with Dolph Lundgren?
No, I didn't.
It was about the Afghan war. It was a tank crew that gets lost, and it's awesome. It is great. It is one of the most underrated movies of all time.
All right,
How about this for schlock sci-fi from the early '90s? It was originally called "I Come in Peace."
I know which one you're talking about. Yep.
But they changed it later on. It's now called Dark Angel. I own the Blu-ray. It's a fucking great movie. It's basically about an alien that comes to Earth, and what he's doing is he's finding heroin addicts and killing them with heroin to suck the endorphins out of their head, so he can sell their endorphins all over the galaxy.
I remember that. Yeah.
It
was like a B movie.
Yeah, and his weapon is this thing that shoots it looks like a freaking CD.
Yeah, it was like a Toxic Avenger movie. It was like a B movie like that. You know.
No. It's
a little higher.
It's not like that, like a B movie. It's more like a directed-video type movie. It's
yeah,
it's like, but it's a
like Red Scorpion.
Cop.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's a buddy cop sci-fi action movie. Brian Benben from what's that damn show from the '80s? What was the show with him in it? On HBO.
I know which one you're talking about.
I can't think of it.
I can't remember the name.
We would have to IMDb it, but I got to wrap it up.
But he was in it, and it's a fun flick. It's schlock, and it's great.
Okay.
All right, guys. I got to wrap the show up. Got some stuff going on.
Dream On. That's right. Yep.
Dream On. Yes. Okay. So, guys, after this episode, starting next episode, we are going to be live streaming. So this is the last time you're going to be seeing a pre-recorded show unless circumstances prevent it. But for the most part, you should be interacting with us. This should be very interesting going forward, and it'll be a different Super Geeks we're going to upgrade. So,
well, I want to say about that
I Ultra Geeks.
Geeks. Ultra Super Geeks.
I'm actually kind of excited about this because this is like a good primer for you, George, because I've been a little bit tentative about doing a live stream because God knows what you're going to say. But you did very good this week. And,
I'm a good boy.
It's like it was a primer for the live stream, looking forward to it now.
So what George is saying is next week we will be upgraded.
We're already upgraded.
No, what George is saying next week is, I will break you.
I will break you.
We will break you. No, we already upgraded. The thing is, Zoom takes 24 hours to kick in the live stream options, so we got to wait. But that's okay. We're getting ready for it. And sometimes we're going to do random reactions to trailers at random, like me and Raul might just pop on and say, hey, they just dropped a trailer for the new Picard series, a new trailer. And if whoever's available at the time, if Sean's not working or if Son's around,
he's smashing grapes with his hands.
We'll go, hey, nobody watch it yet because we don't want to fake that we're watching it for the first time. We'll just do a reaction to
Picard's lifting a whole grape with the toothpick.
Or even if I have seen it, I'll pretend I'll go, oh my God, he's bald or something.
Picard speaking with a French accent.
Oh my God. He's making wine.
Fighting with that old brother of his.
Oh, he's dead.
He's dead. He died.
He did.
You guys were talking about
flashback
villains for like those hyper masculine 80s movies.
What was his name? Renee.
And
yeah.
The only thing I was thinking of during that was Grace Jones as Mayday in A View to a Kill.
Oh my God!
I love Grace Jones.
Grace Jones is awesome. I was just watching Conan the Destroyer the other day, and I was reminded how awesome she is. Oh, and Olivia D'Alba
has actually been in a movie recently.
She also used to date Dolph Lundgren. She was his living girlfriend for a while.
There's a movie called Grace Jones, Bloodlight and Bammy. It came out 2 years ago, and supposedly it's not so much of a biography of hers as it is kind of you remember that Barack Obama movie where they followed him going to Kenya to find out about his father and all that?
Yeah.
It's exactly like that, but with Grace Jones going back to Jamaica to a family reunion.
Yeah.
He was also in some reality shows.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Where
All
can
right,
I
guys,
find that? Son, now you've got me interested. Where can I find that?
Let me see. It is. Oh, come on. Where is it at? It doesn't say. It's on Prime. It's on. I assume Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime.
Cool.
IMDb links to Prime Video.
Oh, speaking of which, of Prime, there is a new series that started last night with David Tennant. And,
the angel demon one?
Yes, with Good Omen. And by the way, Carlos, do you see who plays the angel? Do you see who he is? Do you know who he is?
No, I just saw the ad go by, and it has David Tennant in it, so I clicked it on.
Yeah, well,
list, but I haven't really looked.
The guy who
the trailer.
The guy who plays the angel is our good friend Roland Blum from The Good Fight.
Oh yeah, that's Michael.
Michael Sheen.
Sheen, yes.
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 From Lord of the Rings stuff.
Of The Good Fight, did you notice that CBS is putting it on its broadcast network this summer?
No, I did not know that.
First season is going to be on this summer.
Excellent.
That's a pretty big
I love how just blatantly Carlos admits to his bias. I just watched the ad go by. I saw David Tennant and I clicked add to watch.
Yeah, didn't we all?
Pretty much.
That's what I did.
He does a good podcast too. Speaking of podcasts, you can find us on The Real Super Geeks, and we're going to live stream soon. Subspace Radio on Mondays, subspace-radio.net.
I registered one complaint. Well, technically 2 complaints.
Carlos
spent a ton of time on Rambo, and we missed Harry Potter and Brightburn.
We didn't talk about Harry Potter, actually. We skipped it.
Much.
Have you seen? Hold on.
We talked about that pre-show.
Carlos, have you seen Brightburn yet?
I haven't, but it is on my list.
It's on my list too. Let's talk about that.
Well,
maybe next
I'll
week.
tell you what. Here's the thing.
Right,
I'm really kind of curious about Brightburn. So, what do you say that we all within the next couple of weeks, see if we could actually go see the film and come back?
I hear good things about it. I hear it's great. It has a nice twist.
I remember I'd read an article about it
that's right
years ago or something.
That's
right.
right.
I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to see this. It's such a
and
great
it is
idea.
done by James Gunn, who's gonna we all know he's good.
All the guns.
The guns
are in this movie.
I am interested in talking about it. Yes.
In fact, one of the guns I know.
One of the guns you know.
The guy I used to drink with in Los Angeles.
These are the guns I know.
Where can people drink with you on social media?
They can drink with me on social media. You can find me on Twitter at cpedraza and at Axmonitor, and on Facebook at the Axmonitor page and the Axmonitor Facebook group, and on the web at axmonitor.com.
Excellent. What about you, Raul? Where do people want to find you?
Find me at The Real Super Geeks.
Find you there and on Facebook at Raul Padrona, right?
Yeah,
from Arizona.
He's from Arizona. He still currently has the picture of the Peter Baelish Mockingbird symbol until he changes it, in which he will update all of us. So if you want to find him there, he's still working on his grinder and his Tinder.
Fight the power, Peter.
Yeah. Also, you can find Super Geeks at Geeks_. Wait. I always forget this. Geeks_TR. Yes. That's our Twitter, and we'll link it too. And Sean, where can people find you?
No, the Real Super Geeks group on Facebook, Axmonitor group on Facebook, Fucked Up Geek Shit on Twitter, and tomorrow night I will be found in Phoenix watching the Mets play the Diamondbacks with my dad.
And Sean will invite you all to his home where you can stalk him. We'll give you that information later because he's very open about these things.
Yeah.
And Son,
just like the pants.
Son, where can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook at The Real Super Geeks Group, where we all are hanging out and posting stuff and making comments and arguing with each other about stuff being real or fake or.
That's right.
Fake news.
Oh, by the way, Data will not be appearing on the Picard series.
My God.
You won't? Good.
Want to throw that out there
Well,
just so people know.
That's a rumor. We don't know. I mean,
well, we do.
Oh, you do.
God.
Yeah, because Brent
people
Spiner came out and
just-
said he's not happening.
Can people just let the series fucking happen? Please?
Agreed.
That's what I would love to see.
Leslie Sleeping Data's lie. All right, you guys, I want to thank you for joining us. And starting next time, we're going to be starting to play around with the live stream thing. So you never know. We might actually mess up and do something funny.
We might even play with ourselves.
Raul
That might get a laugh.
stand up.
That's why I'm here.
Raul
That's
might
why
actually
I'm here.
stand up and go to the bathroom. Yeah, he's still on camera and he's naked. And you never know.
You never know.
Be ready for it, because anything.
Talk about a Cuban Missile
Once we
Crisis.
go live,
Oh!
anything can happen. Anything can happen. We might see some junk, might see some butt cracks. Anything goes.
I mean, to be fair, Carlos before the show said in his glorious gay fabulousness or something like that.
What I do.
All right, you guys. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll join you live the next time. Maybe, if you guys want to see us. If you don't, we'll know, because it'll say nobody's there.
But they'll get to see it even.
They'll get to see it if they choose to. I'll bribe some people.
Another. We're
I
coming
will
after.
bribe some people if I must. Talk to you the next time.